morning. This is the Eager Beaver Show.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters, CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community, and the Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. Well, good morning and hello, kids, and welcome to season 4. And you know what? I didn't even bother to think of what the episode was before doing the intro. I have no clue. 470?
No.
No, 465. 465. It was either 465 or 470. And you know what? I should have done like you did do on the test. Pick one, because at least you're 50%. 50% chances that you'll get it right, but I did not want to be wrong. 465 of the Daily Beaver Morning Show here on the Cryon Media Network. Do. Just saying. For those who are listening at home, I'm wearing a Team Canada t-shirt, and I just levitated up from my chair, as a queen does, so that everyone could see the Canada proudly displayed across my chest.
Indeed.
Today, recording day, is Monday, September 9th, 2024. And it's going to be a nice day here at the Beaver Lodge if I'm looking out the window. I'm your host, the Eager Beaver, pronouns he, him, hey, Mr. Beaver, hey. And with me, as always, is my good friend, Mr. Grizzly. A big thank you goes to our podcast's founding sponsors, the Peppermaster, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, and CanadianTarot.com. We'll have a good and bad show for you today. Good, we'll talk about our Paralympians and how proud they've done us. And bad, we'll talk about other types of athletes that are trying to have an impact on a global stage.
Okay, this is something I'm unaware of.
The whole Tenant group.
Oh, those,
that kind of stuff. Yeah.
So the sarcasm is dripping with the athletes aspect. Okay.
Yes.
What other? I don't know what you're talking about, dude.
But, well, I mean, that's let's just say the tumbling passes in explanations and stuff. Yeah, interesting. They're Olympic worthy. They're Olympic worthy. Yes. Mr. Grizzly, how's your mental health today, sir?
I don't have a conclusion for you on that one. I went to bed very early last night at 9:30, and I did not sleep well. I didn't wake up a lot. It was just I had sertraline dreams, so super vivid, which means you don't actually get any rest.
Right.
They were all over the bloody map, and so realistic that you feel like when you wake up, it takes you a few minutes to realize everything you just had in your head was not real. But it really affects your sleep patterns. So I'm not. Yeah. How's my mental health this morning? I don't know. Honestly, I'm still trying to make sense out of the strange fantasy in my head that my dream and sleep pattern put together. So I'm a little out there at the moment. So I'm going to
Okay.
have a big mug of coffee and try and form complete sentences.
Please stand by. All right. Um, Let's see. Start with the bad stuff or start with the good stuff, kids. I'm not too sure whether or not uh, I want to end on a positive note or end on a dramatic note. No votes?
Sorry, I was working on something
No,
there.
no. I know you were. I was sounding the kits there. If they wanted me to start with the good stuff or the saucy stuff. All right. Well, let's. Ooh, those. Oh, the colors are vivid.
Yeah, so this is the photo paper I ordered the other day. They're sticky. Supposed to be sticky. Yeah, I think it's a sticky. Anyway, and I have a guillotine style photo paper cutter. Yeah, so this is a sticky. Okay, cool. So yeah, so I'll be printing some stickers to mail out.
All right. Kit Linda, get the bad out of the way first. Mr. Jim, finish on the happy. All right. Well, then, let's do that. We will finish on the happy. Okie dokie. The tenant media thing.
Yeah,
Still not 100% on top of it. So, we'll be holding back, but still not not 100%, but starting to get it. Starting to get it. But the one thing I would like to do, and I'd like to propose it to Mr. Grizzly, and you don't have to give an answer on air because it's kind of putting you on the spot. But I was looking at the Department of Justice indictment itself. Oops, Mr. Grizzly is having a sneezing fit, so I'm not going to keep trying to selling him on an idea. Ooh,
sorry.
wow, that was particularly violent.
Yeah, ragweed season, right? So it's beating the hell out of me right now.
Holy crap! Oh, well,
So,
bless you all those times, and nice non-denominational bless you.
well, I'm a little lightheaded and dizzy now, so let's see how
Oh,
this goes.
that's the usual day for me.
Oh, okay, cool.
No, uh, no, I was thinking, given that the Department of Justice indictment is only 32 pages, uh, maybe we should just, and not everybody's going to read it, but maybe people would be interested in hearing about it, sort of audiobook style, if you might be interested in recording it
Sure.
at one
Yeah,
point.
I
So
can
we
do
can
that.
issue it out because it seems that it is quite well worth a read.
Okay, good to know.
Yes, and you have the voice, and I have the sass. All right. Okay, so that could be a fun little project. Uh, so, all right.
Well, remember that thing I showed you after we went off the air on Saturday? That little ACX thing,
Yes.
the narration book thing.
Yes.
Yeah, I've been offered the contract, so 5 book deal.
Yes.
I just accepted it, and I'm just waiting to hear back from them. So I should be narrating some fitness
Yes.
books. It's about fitness, nutrition, proper rest and recovery, and it's going to be a 5 book series, and I've accepted book 1, so we'll see how it goes.
Yes.
And I get a share of the royalties. It's not a paid per hour or word or anything. I'm going to take a couple of those gigs too. Like there's different ones you look at, and some of them are pay per. Like you get, I don't know, it's $50 an hour or something like that, and some are share with the royalties. And royalty shares can be very, very lucrative, but they can also be nothing, right? If the
Right.
book doesn't sell, you don't get anything. So it's a bit of a risk. You know, it's a bit of a risk. So we'll see what happens. I'm going to put it out there, and I'm going to promote. And the individual that I'm dealing with said, "Would you be willing to promote this on the podcast?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'll promote it. Of course, I'll promote it. It's my voice. Why wouldn't I promote it?"
Mm-hmm.
It's money for me. So yes, I will promote it.
Yeah. So, yeah. Well, congratulations. That is absolutely fantastic.
Thanks.
I'm
Well,
so
hopefully
happy
it
for you.
leads to more, right? I'm
Well,
gonna
well, that's the thing, right? Whether or not something comes of it financially, you have an actual credit and something that you can
yes,
start, putting together with a demo reel and that type of stuff. So,
precisely.
yay, good stuff. And this thing that we're going to do too could fit in that actually because it'll be a different type of reading,
Exactly.
right? Okay, Tenant. From what I can gather here. And so far, I have started listening to the Midas Touch thing
Mhm.
that was put up, but of course we had a podcast this weekend, so haven't caught up on a lot of those things. But I did catch up on a lot of things, and I did listen in particular to Dean's interview because he has an interview with a
Yeah,
man
it was good.
whose last name is Kolga, whose first name I cannot remember off
Is it
the top of
Mark
my
or
head. I
Dennis?
will look it up. Mark, I think so.
I can't.
Um,
I don't forget.
but a person that works, in tracking in the disinformation field and that type of stuff. Marcus Kolga,
Marcus.
so journalist
Good Marcus there.
yeah, journalist that specializes in that, and so it's an um, it's not straightforward storytelling to
No,
try and get like this. It's sort of like an overall conversation that goes here and there, and whatnot like this. But if you listen to all of it, you pick up some pieces. So it's not necessarily the best entry point
no.
into the conversation to figure out what's going on, but it'll certainly give you an idea of just how important this is. Um, and we'll be talking about this a little bit on the show today as well. Um, but from what I can gather here, and this is based on an interview done by CBC on Front Burner with Justin Ling. Um, the reason everybody was able to detect that this was about Tenant Media specifically, because in indictments they talk about company one and all that type of stuff. So they describe a social media company like this, and then they put brackets the company one, which means heretofore referred to in the document as company one, this social media company. But in the document, when they were talking about the social media company and they were trying to define it a little bit, they defined it as um, a group that describes itself as, quote, a network of heterodox commentators that focuses on Western political and cultural issues. So if you take that line, a heterodox network of heterodox commentators that focuses on like this, it brings you directly to Tenet.
Yes.
Because that's on their Twitter page, that's in their bio. And if you want to know, heterodox means like people that stray away from the orthodoxy. Right? Mainstream opinion, away from mainstream opinion.
Okay, I thought it
Like
meant
this.
something else entirely different.
Well, I mean, it can be.
Well, I thought it meant they were bragging that they're straight, hetero,
No.
and doxing people.
No.
That's what I
Heterodox.
thought it meant.
Yeah, no. Like this. We're free thinkers. We're
We're free thinkers.
all
So
the sheep are
exactly
going one
like
way, and
us.
we are heterodox.
Okay.
Right.
I've never heard the term before, so I just
Neither had I.
Yeah.
Neither had I. I actually had to go look it up. But that's how they found out it was Tenet. So they didn't really try to hide it.
Hmm.
That's sort of like saying about me. It's like this. Yeah, commentator one,
Right.
the sassy brown guy who wears the crown.
Yeah.
It's like, gee, I wonder who that
Painting the
might
picture without painting the picture.
be. And apparently, that's how they found that how the names that have come out to Tim Pool and all of
Mhm.
them, Dave Rubin and all of them. It's because like this type of account that had X number of followers. Well, I mean, there are only so many right-wing YouTube superstars. So, that would have counts in the millions. Because, I mean, there's a lot of people in the space. But a lot of people in the space are just sort of like doing this on their own, and they have like little channels that languish, a bit like ours is right now. Like this, but some even smaller, but like there are many that are bigger than us still, right? Like this. And then, they they just don't grow bigger like this. So, and but these people are superstars. They got people in the millions. So there's only so
Yeah.
many of them if you're like doing a reverse lookup. So that's how they were able, because like the Department of Justice just laid down the indictment, so the numbers are as fresh as possible, right? So the numbers kind of line up. Oh, the one with 2.7 million viewers on YouTube. Oh, that's Tim Pool. The one. So that's how, basically, if you wonder, like, how do they know the people? Because the document is always written person one, pundit one, commentator one, company one, pundit two, influencer two, that type of stuff. So people love to look back and try to figure these things out to know who they're talking about. And Jen, it's you can't say it's with 100% certainty, but in many cases, I mean, when the tagline from your company is listed in the document and it matches word for word, it's probably you. Just saying. So basically, it's a group of right-wing streamers and influencers who focus on the culture war and American politics. And they were accused of being financed and influenced by state-backed Russian news network employees, or by the Russian news network. So basically, if you remember, there was Russian television. It was banned in Canada as well. And this operation kind of started after that. So it's sort of like, oh, okay, you won't let us put our propaganda up in the open through, a news station that people can subscribe to or that comes on their channel. Well, then we still need to get our message into your country. So this is how we're going to go about it. It's basically RT underground.
Hmm.
Right? So they are accused, those two people, pardon me, I've just got
Yeah,
something in
right
my
there.
throat
Yeah.
all of a sudden.
Little something in the throat. I see that, Miss Shatika. I will get to that in a few minutes. It's pretty funny. Something that you'll love, Mr. Beaver.
Okay.
Miss Shatika just sent me something, and you're going to love it. We'll wait a few minutes because we'll save this for that when we need a palate cleanse. It's a palate cleanse moment, and we'll leave it at that. It's good. It's really good, and it's something I've never seen before, and it looks like it's from the '70s. If it's real, I guess this is real. It looks real. It looks like it's from the '70s.
All right.
Um, it's interesting.
Okay. So the two people from Russia, one guy, I believe his name is Kalishnikov.
Yes, and I believe it's a
Um,
woman actually.
no,
Kalishnikov.
yes, yeah, they're both women, right?
Yes, correct.
Yes. Okay, yes, it's the Canadian connection. That's one man, one woman. So
Right.
Kalishnikov and Afanasayeva are the two last names. I don't have the first names in front of me. But they're the ones that are named specifically. So they um, they had $10 million basically
Mhm.
to distribute to people, um, and then they their objective with that $10 million was to spread pro-Russia propaganda, which evoked on the war in Ukraine. Um, but the company itself, Tenant, when they got the money from these two Russians, did not tell the people, that's what's alleged in the indictment, that received the
Yes.
money, that the money was coming from Russians. Okay?
Yeah, but
So that's
but if
why,
somebody's handing you that much money and saying we want to hear stuff of this nature, come on, how stupid do
well,
you have to be?
it seems that it wasn't done exactly that way either, from what I
Mm.
can gather. From what I can gather. But
Except that
that's why I
all of the
wanted,
messaging was pro-Russian, anti-Ukraine.
yeah,
So
absolutely. But they were already in that space,
right.
right, before they were discovered. I mean, that's how they were trying to get famous.
Mhm.
Um, so the $10 billion that was paid,
Million.
10 million, yes,
Yes, I
sorry.
thought you said
Oh,
billion.
I may have said billion. I'm sorry. The $10 million that was paid to start up went to two people, and those two people are Canadian. So that's where the names, if you hear the names Lauren Chen and Liam Donovan, That's where they come in. So they were two people. I don't know. I know that Lauren Chen was trying to get into this space.
Correct.
Had their channel. I'm not sure if Liam Donovan also had his channel from the information that I have, but they were trying to make it there and make it big, and they said sort of plateaued somewhere, and it wasn't going to happen for them,
Mhm.
right? So they founded Tenant Media several years ago to try to create what was called a distribution and a financing network for other popular right-wing streamers. So it's like, if we can't become stars, let's try to manage some stars
Mhm.
or promote some stars, be the people behind the scenes. Um,
As long as you're
so,
getting paid, right?
right. So Lauren Chen used to go by the title of Roaming Millennial. She produced videos on her own YouTube page, kind of exactly what you would expect. This, according to Justin Ling, again, immigration is bad, supporting Ukraine is bad, trans people are bad. So, the usual topics
Yes.
for this group. But she was not successful. So they registered their company Tenant in Montreal. And it appears that when they were approached, I don't have any details on the story on how it is that they were approached.
Mhm.
But Chen said that she said in 2018 that she was going to Russia
Okay.
voluntarily for something. That's on her Twitter feed. And there, she was supposed to have an interview with someone out of this thing. And those are the only two facts I know. I don't really know what happened in between, so that's why I'm hoping maybe reading the indictment will yield some more. But yeah, she did go willingly
Mhm.
when she went back in 2018. So it seems throughout these documents, even though it doesn't explicitly say they knew that these were Russians, it seems that Lauren Chen and Leon Donovan were aware openly that they were dealing with Russians
Yes.
and that this is a Russian influence. There was no, whereas you
Not a
have
mistake.
Tim Pool saying, I didn't know, and maybe that is the case because the
So
identity was not given,
would he be deemed a useful idiot then?
possibly. There's a when you the thing about the money that you mentioned is a thing, so that's the part that sort of stretches credulity.
Believability. Yeah.
Yeah, to a certain extent. It's there's not knowing, and then there's not wanting to know.
Mhm.
Let's just put it that way. And I think there might have been some of that going on because it seems that there were questions that were asked at some point, and
Right.
an answer was given, and people decided that answer was going to be good enough.
It's all suspect. It's
It
a lot of
is.
he said, she said, hearsay, and I mean, quite frankly, I
Well, right
think a
now it
lot of
doesn't
a
seem.
lot of the cop outs is just bullshit.
Yes, the cop outs could be, like I said, but before we get there, let's. This is not an accident,
No.
right? So, but just how much this is not an accident will blow your mind. So these two people were aware.
Yes.
They wanted to become stars themselves.
Mhm.
It wasn't happening. Somehow they got an interview with someone, and either that opened a door or somebody noticed them, invited them for an interview, and that opened. I don't know exactly. Maybe their trip to Russia had nothing to do with how they got contacted by the two people from RT. I don't know. Like I said, I don't have those details. But they
It's all very
founded,
suspect, though. Every
yeah,
bit of it.
yeah,
Every single bit of it, and how it ties to messaging from the Conservative Party is pretty interesting. I don't know that there's any direct ties, but they definitely were using conservative talking points, downplaying Ukraine because didn't the cons vote against funding for the war in Ukraine to provide Ukraine with money and weapons, and they voted against that.
Hmm?
So what does that tell you? I mean, paint by numbers. We've got the Mona Lisa in front of us.
Hmm?
Whether or not they're directly tied to it is another question. But I can guarantee you there's people looking into it.
Mm-hmm. So the Tenant media site, the other aspect of this, while you're sort of wondering like how Tenant was sort of underground, is that the Tenant media site didn't actually have that many subscribers on its YouTube page. The Tenant media site itself had only about 300,000,
Right.
which in this space is relatively small, according to Justin Ling, because you've got all these other people that have like 2.7 and then some, right, or over a million. And and they're everywhere, right? It's not just their YouTube page, right? They're on other platforms, X and right, just like we are on other platforms. So they have huge audiences. So their videos, the Tenant videos themselves, wasn't really going viral, but that becomes pretty much irrelevant because then that sort of becomes the front,
Right.
right? We've got this little media company. We have like 300,000. We're trying to make it like this, but where the money is going is the talent agency, talent management. That's talent with Skippy air quotes, like this part of the business. And that's where they, in their roster, they have the Benny Johnsons and the Tim Pools and the David Rubins and the Lauren Southerns, and on YouTube alone, these people have 7 million subscribers collectively. We're starting to talk real people here, right? So the money that they were getting, according to the Department of Justice, was $10 million over about the term of the agreement. So this has been going on for about 2 years and some change. So whatever they were doing before that, because that was them,
Right.
I guess. And about 2 years and some change, this started happening here. And basically, when we're talking about the money, we're talking about 6 figures per video. So like for Tim Pool, I think he was asked to do 4 videos a month.
400K
I guess
a month.
that would be on sort of like these themes, right? Not necessarily told what to say, but on these themes, like this, like we're spending too much on Ukraine, because, or did America provoke Russia?
Provoke Russia to invade Ukraine? How is that even possible?
By pushing too hard on NATO.
But they weren't pushing on NATO until Ukraine was invaded.
If only we had dismantled NATO like the Warsaw Pact was dismantled, we wouldn't be having this problem.
Oh, I see. So let's drop our defenses to let Russia run roughshod over Europe.
Just like Ukraine got rid of its nuclear weapons, and now look what happened.
Yeah.
Right. So, but there's a line of thinking out there. Because the fact that we kept on investing in NATO and wanting to build it up, and expanding into like Romania and the old, like this, it was like Putin had no choice. He had no choice. He was pushed. He was provoked. He's been asking for decades for us to calm that down. That is the narrative.
Interesting messaging.
That is that is the whole other narrative out there.
Why are they choosing the side of a despot dictator who would have money? They sold their souls for money.
But when you look in some of the EU countries, and some of them that are led by more pro-Russian leaders, right? Because a lot of these countries have history with Russia in the past and history with Russia now as well. Some of them have some business, some have less business, depending on what their history, like what the collective national conscience is. So there are in some countries this where everyday people like this, they're not wild, they're not radical, right? That's just the broth that they've been cooking in all their lives, right? That's like, yep, Putin is not so bad, at least, when, the Americans said that they would help us and they didn't really follow through, but like he stayed there all the way through.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a lot of people, that are in that space as well. So they are more inclined without, being rah-rah invade Ukraine. But, he must be doing it for a good reason because he's not all bad.
Mm-hmm.
Look how he treats us.
No, he's a despot, a dictator, a
Right?
terrible human being. He's a
But
murderer.
yep, yeah. But there's that's what I'm saying. But that narrative is out there, and that there are people that are open to buy that.
Well, I just don't want to be repeating it is all, because I don't want people to cut and clip your YouTube video of you saying that and then accusing us of being on that end. So that's why I'm highlighting what I'm saying right now.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Repeating what they said without saying this is exactly what they said. I'm quoting in a text, and they'll still clip it.
Oh yeah,
They'll still clip it and try and paint you as a sympathizer. I'm just being
I don't
cautious.
want. No, yeah. I don't want that to happen. But people are going to do what people are going to do.
There are evil
I'm
people.
not going to say things for fear of what other people are going to do.
No, I understand. It's just we need
Especially
to
if they're the people that are going to do it anyway.
well, we need to get contextual about it, though.
Oh yeah,
so
absolutely.
we have that in our defense to say,
Absolutely.
no. This was a quotation directly from what these folks were doing. This is what they were saying.
Yeah.
We need that context added in so that when
Absolutely.
somebody tries to paint us into a corner, we can literally come back and go, you cut out the part where we said this.
Yeah. But that's the narrative on that side. That's what makes sense and is logically consistent for people who buy into that. So, like this, if you're trying to debate them like this, it's like you're wrong. You're like this. That's not what's going to match. You have to find out where this logic point where it starts. That's where you have to start to undo the knot. Right. That's why when people say like this, oh no, they're talking. I'm not going to listen to what they're going to say. You have to listen to what they're saying, no matter how distasteful. You have to listen to it because you have to find out where it comes from.
Of course, that was never up for debate.
Right. The origin, where it comes from. Where's the knot at the beginning, where you have to start to untangle? Because if you don't want to give up on these people, just say they're unsalvageable, you have to find out where the knot is, and that's where you have to debate.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So these people, when we're talking about 6 figures per video, 4 videos per month, 12 months a year, 48 videos.
A lot of money.
That's a lot of money. We're talking money, now let's say they don't do it every week. To take a couple weeks off, Christmas, Easter. Let's say. They're clearing about $2 million a year on this agreement.
2 million.
Yeah.
You said billion again. Sorry. I'm just trying to make sure we get the numbers right.
Million.
2 million.
Yeah. So yeah, clearing about 2 million a year, which hundreds of thousands clearing a year in this space. If you happen to have like millions watching, that's
a lot of money.
That's understandable. That's within the range. But 2 million?
Mm-hmm.
Like on its face, that is not, it's odd. So when you have the Tim Pools, right? And this is like Justin Ling saying, Tim Pool made response to these allegations to sort of clear his name and suggested he had no idea about this. Part of his defense was to say, oh, I make a lot of money from my videos. I just thought this was somebody, looking to kind of monetize my content, and I didn't think it was all that. And then there's
how convenient.
Yes, and then there's like 2 sections of Tim Pool that are quoted in his own voice saying in the podcast space, we just heard that I think Travis Kelce is getting a $100 million contract. So these numbers are, well, that's where they're at, I think, and people don't realize how big the podcasting, right? Um, Joe Rogan getting a lot of money to be on Sirius XFM is one thing. I don't know what Travis Kelce's contract is, but
well, Travis Kelce is also the partner of Taylor
yes,
Swift. So there's
yes,
he brings in a lot of people just because of that. He's a very famous football player, and his brother is on the podcast, who is also a recently retired famous football player. They bring in it's a built-in audience. Right now,
yes,
podcasting is big with celebrities because they bring in numbers right from the get-go. They don't have to build it. They just start. They just do a
right,
show, and there's people there.
right,
Tim
right.
Pool did not just start and have numbers there.
No,
So
exactly.
him to make that statement is a little bit ridiculous. I don't buy it.
Yeah, that would be the thinking. It's like, Tim Pool, you're no Travis Kelce.
Exactly. You're not.
I mean, you're very big in this space,
Sure.
but Travis Kelce's global.
Exactly.
I mean, he was very much United States like this, but then you team up with Taylor Swift, he's global now.
Everybody on Earth knows who he is. Well, I mean, I'd say the vast majority of the population of planet Earth knows who he is because of who he is dating. Plain and simple.
Yes.
I mean, Taylor Swift is the biggest pop star on Earth, and it's not even a question. It's not even a question.
Mm-hmm.
So, simply being in her wake, let alone being attached to her, helping to create the wake, means you have a built-in audience.
Which is why there's so much anti-Taylor Swift memeing as well, because people are trying to ride the coattails to build their audience as well. But instead of like praising or highlighting or just being like fairly critical, it's just, I'm just going to hate on her.
Yes, so they can, get the haters to come for her and that'll build their audience.
But they need her. But they need her.
Why would somebody, like, how deplorable of a human being are you to literally slag somebody else in the media so that you can get clicks? Like, what is wrong with your head? Go and seek therapy. We slag people all the time, but we slag bad people for doing bad things. Period. We don't just slag somebody because, this will get us listeners and clicks. And no, we will never do that because only horrible people do things like that. And we're not that. We call out bad people for doing bad things, and we will slag them for it. Slag them and drag them because they deserve it.
Bad things too.
Pardon?
And we call out good people for doing bad things.
Correct. And we will. That is our job, is to call out bad people for bad things and good people when they do bad things. You do something bad, you do something to harm another human being, you do something to harm a section of society, we're going to call you out.
We say unpopular things about popular people.
But just because you're the biggest pop star in the world and we figure, well, if we say bad things about you, we can get a built-in... No, I'm not. We're never going to do that. Look, there's no secret we want to earn a living doing this, but we're not going about it that way.
No.
I want to be able to sleep at night.
Well, there's also playing the long game.
Yes.
It's playing the long game. If you want to have a career like Charles Adler's, for example.
Yeah, exactly.
In terms of longevity, there are things you don't allow yourself to do.
Period. Yeah.
Yes. It takes longer to cultivate the audience. It's more work.
It is.
But it's genuine.
Well, and that's what I can live with.
It's authentic. It's like not only the product, but the relationship with the audience as well. Because, it's like one of these things that I keep on saying on the show is like, don't vote for assholes. Don't vote for people who treat you like you're stupid. It's like, well, like I said, when I say the gift of your attention is the gift that I cherish the most.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's only 24 hours in a day.
Yes.
There's lots of demands for your attention, the time that you give us. If you trust us with that, and then we start insulting your intelligence with it for clicks or bucks.
Never going to happen.
What the fuck? Like, that's not respectful. That's not treating your audience well. It's not playing the long game.
No. That's just
the whole goal is to build a relationship with your audience that lasts.
You know what that is? That's a crapshoot. You're literally shooting craps in a casino, and hopefully you're going to win big. Never going to happen.
No. Slow and steady is fast.
Yes.
Um, so Lauren Southern apparently has commented. She's on the Canadian side of this, and she says in a statement that she is not accused of any crimes and that the allegations she read about in the indictment were not known to her. She also said that suggestions that her compensation mirrors others' numbers is not true. Now, while all of this was going down, it seems that some people asked some questions, and it seems that in the indictment, this is another way that we know that Lauren Chen and Liam Donovan were aware that they were dealing with Russians, is that they're actually referred to as the Russians
Right.
in the indictment. And basically, they say that when they were asking her questions, she went to the Russians and then they gave her this bio. Now, when people were asking who was funding this, they were saying it's this guy, last name Gerasimov, who was a wealthy financier. And then people started asking questions. I'm guessing they started asking questions because they knew that getting six-figure salaries for like this was out of the ordinary. I was like, you know what? Like this, maybe this is too good to be true. Maybe I should ask where this money is coming from. And then the person came down and gave them this like fancy sort of magazine profile of this guy named Gerasimov that had lots of typos in it. And then if you actually bothered to look up his name, you'd find out that he's not real, and neither is the bank at which he is alleged
to have
to work.
worked. Funny how that works out, eh?
So, yeah. So that's why I'm now that part, right? We know questions were asked. Again, haven't read the indictment, so I don't know who asked. Don't know if it's even in the indictment.
Mm-hmm.
And this thing was given in the indictment. There is like an image of the profile included as the exhibit. So it's like this, like, it looks like this glossy magazine thing. But there are parts of it that are redacted out in it in the document. But it's there. You see what they got, and it's like, oh well, gee, glossy magazine thing profile. I guess he's real, and that's good enough for me. So I was like, the whole part about like they thought, maybe this is a lot of money for me. This is speculation. This is how the only like common sense, not going off to a flight of fancy way. It's like they know what their numbers are before they came along. They see what their numbers are. Because it is out of the ordinary. A normal person would ask questions.
Well,
If you're suddenly coming if your paycheck that's direct deposited suddenly starts depositing twice as much money every week as you are, at some point you're going to say, first week, okay, maybe there was some type of bonus or something negotiated by the union and the check is all coming in at once type thing. Second week, this is a little weird. Third week, human resources, is there something going on with it? Right?
yeah.
So this is what I assume may have happened, which prompted them to go to the Chen and Donovan to go to the Russians to ask for information about who is financing this olive thing. And then comes the glossy magazine thing. And then they look at, oh, well, I guess this must be a real thing. I mean, look, it's a glossy magazine profile, bio type thing with all his accomplishments, all the banks he's worked at and stuff. And sounds legit. And that's where the question stopped.
Mm-hmm.
It would seem, from my understanding so far. Now, how are they getting the orders, right? They were probably getting an overall order of, like this, we need 4 videos a month, these types of general themes. But it would seem that, like in the chat right next to us, from what I can gather, it seems that the 2 employees from RT have several personas that they used in chats like this, and they were sometimes inconsistent, couldn't remember which persona was which. Yes, but they would make comments about the show offering notes. You guys should really do this or that type of stuff, and or bringing in subjects of conversation now, whether or not the Tim Pools and whatnot were aware of what the profiles are, so they knew to pay particular attention to that, or like happens with us, they see something, it catches their eye, and they pick it up, and then they mention it in the show or highlight it like this.
Well, if you look at the comment I've got on the screen right now from PNC Bio, they negotiated the deals and were getting the money they were supposed to be getting. There's nothing weird about that part. The big red flag is 100,000 for getting 2,000 views. Now, if that was the metric, here's 100 grand for 2,000 views, you and I would be wealthy. You do realize our average daily viewership across all platforms is over 2,000. Daily viewership. Like in the live shows, we're averaging about 1,000 in the live, and then as the day goes on, we're 2,000 and up on average. So, and that's just on visual platforms. That's not the auditory version. No, that is the YouTube version, whether it's on YouTube or some of the other platforms that we're streaming on. So if you're getting 100 grand for 2,000 views, my money problems would be solved right now. And for that, we would have staff to help with what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
To the point where I would have a complete mobile kit in a warehouse ready to go. So when we do a road trip, I just show up and everything's already set up. Instead of me panicking to get everything ready in 30 minutes, which normally takes an hour to do a live stream. No, we would have staff who would show up at the venue, have everything staked out, ready to go. All you and I would do is sit down behind the mic and do our thing. We would have researchers to help us. If we were getting $100,000 for 2,000 views, yeah, our money problems would be solved. And we would have people in employment here. So yeah, it's suspect.
Yeah.
And that's putting it lightly.
So yeah, I'm it is a pretty greasy. I don't know if I had anything else. Yes, I did have something else.
Well, and here's the thing from playing with 3D. Left-leaning podcasts don't make even a fraction of the money the right uses to fund their media empire. You are correct. And we've always said that we are centrists, but we lean left. We don't make a secret about that. That being said, I know many progressive conservatives who are very left-leaning too, but they still identify as progressive conservatives because progressive is the key part of that party affiliation. That party no longer exists and hasn't for over 20 years. And even though they're called the Progressive Conservative Party of Ontario, they are not run by a progressive.
Yeah. So now you get to questions like, for example, how did this Tenant company based in Tennessee that produced about 2,000 videos over 2 years across various social media platforms, reaching approximately 16 million viewers on YouTube alone. Mm-hmm. How did this kind of get put together, and maybe why Canada? So, because this is a company that was created by the Russians that was set up to look in every way like it was a North American company. Right? Got Roman Media, gets the money in Canada, sets up Tenant. Roman Media is registered in Canada like this, but mm-hmm. Tenant Media is registered in the United States out of Tennessee. Tennessee, the hotbed of media activity.
I just gave you a metric there in the private chat. This is just our YouTube channel in the last 365 days. So if we're getting 100,000 for 2,000 views, do the math on that one, sir. We would be able to hire a lot of people. We'd have a separate studio. I mean,
my mortgage would be paid off, and I would be wearing
and
diamonds.
That's just on our YouTube channel. That metric that I just gave you. That doesn't include.
The glitter on that ground would not be cubic zirconia, darling.
Well, we're not going to do that. We're going to employ people and put money back into the company. But yes, we are going to draw a healthy salary. Look,
a little treating yourself.
Well, but here's the thing.
It's not glamour. It's a business expense.
Look, I make no bones about the fact that I've always wanted to join the middle class. The middle class cutoff, I don't know what it is today, but where I live in downtown Ottawa, 5 years ago, it was $87,000. That was 5 years ago. I don't know what it is today because you know what rents are? For my apartment, I've gone to the website for the new building manager, the new building owners, and they have more than doubled what I currently pay. More than doubled. I think it's $2,400 is what they want to charge for a one bedroom, 650 square feet.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah. Now we have Kit PNC Bio who said a comment, please read the indictment before you do any more assumptions. It's not what I expect from you guys. I understand your comment. I don't think it's fair because what you expect from us is, or what you should expect from us is when we know something for a fact, we say that we know it. And when we say we're making assumptions, we are. And I was transparent by the fact that I have not read the indictment. So it's not like I'm pretending I have.
mhm, mhm.
I'm being very, very clear about what we know and what we do not know, which is what we promised. All right. Point taken. And we do plan to read the indictment so that we can bring you more. But right now, where we are, we haven't. We're not pretending that we have. And when we tell you that we're assuming something, we said it. That's why I made a point of saying it. Right. So this company, what Mr. Kolga, Marcus Kolga, who's this expert in this field,
Yes, if you
wants
haven't
us.
seen that interview that Dean did with Marcus, you really should. I'll find it and put it in the chat for people who you should check it out because it's like holy crap, like
Mhm.
holy crap. I mean, it's a
Now,
little startling to
what
say
he
the least.
what he wants us to know, and what's very important to know, quote, media is reporting this as a U.S. influence operation. It's really a Canadian one. These are Canadians who are at the core of that, and the fact that we have not investigated these individuals, that we're not considering charges against them, that is probably one of the most shocking aspects of all of this. Now, when you're wondering, like, why Canada? Um, when we talk about the United States, and we've learned a lot about this from the Trump stuff, they have something called RICO laws.
Yes,
We do not.
we don't.
We do not have an equivalent.
But there is
Um,
new legislature that was tabled back in June, I believe.
yes, for registering as foreign agent and all that type
Correct,
of stuff.
because we've never had that before.
Yes. But we do not have a racketeering law.
No,
So it's way more easy and
hmm
attractive
to set up
to
in
set up
Canada.
here for these types of things. We also don't have the best enforcement and follow up.
No,
I mean, let's be honest. So that is another reason that makes this attractive. Now, a lot of people, you will hear a lot of narratives out there. It's like, Russia. What does Russia have to do with Canada? Russia has no interest in Canada. Like this, that's not real. It's not happening. It's like, why would Russia? Okay, number one, our geographic and political proximity in terms of our friendship to the United States alone makes us
hmm
a super attractive target. Then there's the whole waterway passage through the north
hmm
that people are sort of considering like the new Silk Road. Russia's very, 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 very interested in that. Very interested in that. Russia has a lot of reasons to want to influence over here. And they're agnostic.
hmm
They're agnostic. They have no favorite party.
No,
The point is to destabilize society, period. So whatever fault lines are naturally existing, they look at that and then they point and say, hey, let's just drive a wedge and split that. They don't care who it harms. They don't care who it benefits. All they care is that it disrupts society.
it's true.
It creates an us, it creates a them, it polarizes, it creates people fighting. That's the only thing they care. If that happens, that's success. Okay. So these two people from Canada, it seems very knowingly, were aware that this was a Russian operation to spread that type of messaging here. And either they agreed with that messaging or they saw it as their ticket to the big time because they were trying to do it the content creator way and it wasn't working out for them. But it seems that they wanted to be rich and famous somehow. Again, speculation as to motive. And they pursued, for whatever reason, they pursued this opportunity. Now, who knows if it's one of these things that once they start, you can't stop, right? It could very well be that at one point, people noticed what went on and wanted to stop. We don't know. All the possibilities are there. That's a big blank in the story. But yes, this seems like it was definitely witting. We know that this happened because there's historical precedent for this. Mr. Kolga told us in the interview with Dean, or in the conversation, that Russia was engaging in operations like this back in the 1930s because there was a guy named Igor Kusenko, who was a GRU Russian intelligence agent working in the Russian embassy in Ottawa, who had a young family. And soon after being here, saw that what we had here and says, you know what, I don't want to go back to the Soviet Union. I want to raise my family in Canada. So he walked out of the Soviet embassy with a trove of sensitive documents that was identifying Canadian assets, Soviet Canadian assets, and he gave these documents to the Canadian government. 25 people ended up being arrested, and among them were journalists, elected officials, and academics who were engaging in these sort of operations. In the interviews after the fact, Kusenko was asked what were Russia's objectives in terms of intelligence operations and gathering assets. So this is back in the 1950s. He said that it's influencing public policy, influencing public opinion. So these guys have been going at this for a long time, and they've managed to perfect those operations to a certain degree. So basically, according to Kolga, says, we don't know if any of these individuals have received any benefit, but there are clearly Canadian academics who help amplify and launder Kremlin narratives and have been doing this in international media on various other far-right and far-left platforms, and mostly far-left and platforms for the past 2.5 years. They don't appear that much on mainstream media anymore. And these are the people, when I'm saying that other narrative about Russia, like this, maybe not being the bad guy or having been pushed. That's where, in those circles, often these types of things, these types of narratives start. Just the ones where they're in the environments where you're encouraged to just ask questions and consider, right, as an academic exercise. But not all thought is equal.
No.
Let's just put it that way. Some of them may do it out of some other form of benefit, or maybe ego, maybe getting a scoop on a story. And he cites a story about an attack against Chrystia Freeland back in 2017, 2018, when Russian propagandists were essentially accusing her of being a Nazi whitewasher. So if you'll remember that campaign, that came from them. The European Union has been taking action on this for a while, and the United States has started with this indictment. But again, because we have so little, that's another reason why we might be more vulnerable to these operations, because it would seem that we are the weak link in the chain at the moment. There's been some consequences. Lauren Chen was apparently writing for Blaze Media as well. It seems that she has been fired. The government of the United States has taken over control of the Tenant Media website. Lauren Chen's page, YouTube page, is apparently shut down as well.
A number of YouTube channels have been shuttered quickly by YouTube.
Yeah. One thing that we do have on our side is that we do have Magnitsky Law.
Yeah, the Magnitsky is after a gentleman by that name who was summarily removed from this earth. So they came up with the law because he was a friend of an individual whose name is escaping me right now.
Browder.
Bill Browder, thank you. Thank you. And Bill Browder brought forth the Magnitsky Act. It was his doing because it was his friend who lost his life because, well, Russia.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we do have a Magnitsky Act. We're one of the few nations of the world that do, which, if we decided to take this on seriously, we do have some of the tools. And the other one that you mentioned, Mr. Grizzly, was the Influence Transparency Registry, which was enacted this spring, which is Bill C-70, if you're looking that up. Now, one of the things that could be dangerous for Lauren Chen is that Russia was under sanctions for invading Ukraine at the time that the $10 million was given. And it would seem that even though a lot of money was going to these content producers, uh, Donovan and Chen may have received about 700 to 800,000 themselves out of this. And the funding, that money may have gone directly into their bank accounts in Canada, which would put them in trouble with regard to breaking sanctions laws.
Indeed.
Yeah. So that's the main part that I have right now. It seems that we have to wrap up, so we will not have the chance to get to the Paralympians because there is construction going on where Mr. Grizzly is, and the noise is not at all conducive to podcasting. So we'll stop there for this, but that's some of the stuff that I found out so far from listening to stuff. I will listen to more information, of course, and
I'll read the indictment.
we do plan to read the indictment, so we can like I said, let's make a packaged show of it that we can do outside hours. So that the kids can have it too, because like I said, it's I'm sure that the details in it and the way that the story is going to be laid out, because it has to be laid out in a specific way legally,
Right.
that makes it much easier to understand and with much more clarity. And it is only facts, because it has to be stuff that the state believes it can prove, so that it would have the documents and the underlying evidence for it. So let's look forward to doing that. And so I will be bringing you more information, probably maybe not tomorrow on this, do a different topic or something, but we will be following it.
Oh, yeah, we're not letting this one go because it's a big, big story. And we didn't even have a chance to address what I wrote about this morning when it comes to rent controls and how people are being basically summarily dumped out of their homes because they can no longer afford to pay rent, because certain companies have been given special dispensation to raise the rents beyond what would be deemed normal or ordinary. And as a result, people are now on the streets, including people in 70s and 80s in Halifax who are now living in tents.
Yeah.
I'm sure you can hear the noise in the background here. It's quite annoying.
Yeah, we did. All right, kids and cubs, that's the end of this episode of the Daily Beaver Morning Show here on the Crier Media Network. We hope that you love listening to us, because we love making this for you. Now, remember, sharing is caring and word of mouth is priceless. And you have the mouths from which we want the words to come. So please tell your peeps and poops all about us. If you would like to make sure that you do not miss an episode, you don't have to, thanks to the Ray Girl. If you scan that QR code that just appeared right below my chin, that will bring you to our pod page. If you're listening and want to get there yourself, you use your voice prompt or those lovely digits on those lovely hands to go to podpage.com/thetruenortheagerbeaver, lowercase letters with a hyphen between each one of those words. And when you click subscribe, that will mean that when we have something fresh off the bandwidth, it will come directly to you. There you go. Don't even have to go looking for them, because we like to help. Now, if you'd like to help us, then you need to make like Kit Elaine and surf on down to the True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated YouTube page. And there you click like, share, subscribe. And then that makes us happy. And then we get to keep on doing what we do. And that makes you happy. And everybody's happy. It's a good deal. If you'd like to support us in other ways, the QR code by Mr. Grizzly's Head brings you to our coffee page, and that's where you can find our tip jar. If you like what we do and you would like to encourage us to do more, well, go over there. Whatever you can donate is really, it means the world to us. It helps us pay for the fees, internet connection, subscription services, new equipment every now and then.
Rental
that type of
vehicles,
stuff.
hotel rooms, fuel to get to locations to do on-location things.
Yep, all that stuff. So it all goes back into the show. We thank you so very much for your generosity. If you are not able to contribute financially, hey, that's all right. You know that, because the gift of your attention and your participation is the one that we cherish most. We love to hear from you. TrueNorthEagerBeaver@gmail.com. Leave a comment on our YouTube feed. Go to our Twitter page @TrueEager or Facebook page, True North Eager Beaver. We try to read all the comments, and we thank you for everything that you do to help the show grow. Because democracy is something that you do. Tomorrow night is U.S. debate night. So if you are interested in that, make sure you mark your calendars. I don't know if I will do an online live commentating either on Twitter or given that I know how to produce now, maybe a watch party. Who knows? That might be fun.
Maybe.
If you'd be
I don't know.
interested.
Let's.
No.
I suppose we could. I'll have to check and see if there's an opening in the schedule. I don't know that there is or not, so I'll have to verify that and get back to you. And if there is, we can probably do a watch party.
Okay. And I'm going to ask Jake if he'll want to come on Wednesday morning, post debate. Our
That
old
would be
pal
interesting.
Jake.
Yeah.
That would be fun. So look into that. All right. And then because democracy is something that you do as well, by-elections are coming up on the 16th, La Salle, Villemar, Verdun, and Elmwood, Transcona. On the 19th in Ontario, provincially, for the Bay of Quinte area. And September 19th is the deadline registration date for nominations for Ward 15 in Toronto. So plan your vote. Plan your vote. All right. Mr. Grizzly, do you have some words of wisdom?
I'm kind of bereft for ideas this morning. I've got a lot on my plate today that I'm trying to deal with, and this constant noise makes it difficult to get any work done. So I'm having a difficult time coming up with any words of wisdom. So I'll leave you with this. Just try and be kind to one another. Just try. I know it's difficult. I know sometimes you just want to slap somebody. I know that feeling all too well. Don't do it. And dispense with it by maybe going for a long walk and taking some deep breathing exercises along the way so that you get that out of your system without harming yourself or somebody else.
All right, kids and cubs. Mr. Grizzly, please cue the cock. You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters, CanadianTarot.com, their uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community, and The Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. We are grateful to the Crier Media Network for its support, Pete Jarvis for our artwork, and Paul Joseph Something for our opening and closing sequence music. All right, Mr. Grizzly, you have an Easter egg.
Yes, this is from Miss Shatika. She sent this to me earlier this morning, and I thought I would share this. Come out of the closet with Gay Bob, the world's first gay doll for everyone. Gay Bob doll clothing catalog inside. Now here's the interesting one. Watch this. We'll scroll down here, and here's the description. 13 inches tall and plastic, Gay Bob was marketed as the first openly gay doll and made his retail debut in mail order catalog. He was sold in a cardboard box designed to look like a closet. Gay Bob's packaging proudly and wordly explained what coming out of the closet meant. Hi, boys and girls and grown-ups. I'm Gay Bob, the world's first gay doll. I bet you're wondering why I come packed in a closet. Coming out of the closet is an expression which means that you admit the truth about yourself and are no longer ashamed of what you are. A lot of straight people should come out of their straight closets and take the risks of being honest about what they are. People who are not ashamed of what they are more lovable, kind, and understanding. That is why everyone should come out of their closets, so the world will be more loving, understanding, and fulfilling place to live. Gay people are no different than straight people. If everyone came out of their closets, there wouldn't be so many angry, frustrated, frightened people. It's not easy to be honest about what you are. In fact, it takes a great deal of courage. But remember, if Gay Bob has the courage to come out of his closet, so can you.
I kind of like that.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a real thing. I mean, it certainly could be. I mean, if it's a real thing, cool. I don't know. I'm going to have to look into this a little bit more because I want to know what's it all about, who developed the product, where did this come from? Yeah, I know.
I don't know what to say.
Alrighty, I got to go. Noise is getting to be too much here, and I have plenty to do today. But I'll see you tonight at 9 p.m. on the ASMR. For those of you who are interested, I will be doing an ASMR tonight. I have a few topics I'm going to discuss, and hopefully my brain is in the right space to do it when that time approaches. But I will see you tonight at 9 p.m. on the ASMR YouTube.
All right.
I'll see you.